Today, I'd like to talk to you about mind maps. What are mind maps? Mind maps are usually associated with high school students and university kids, and the reason that they use mind maps is because they need to remember large quantities of information. And mind maps help them to do so, because basically a mind map connects keywords and pictures and shows the relationship between the two. Mind mapping is a registered trademark of the Busan organization. Mind mapping is a very effective way of remembering large quantities of information, but usually they are maintained in a short-term memory. Our brains are being bombarded every minute of the day by information, incoming information. How do we know which is the information that we wish to retain, the valuable information, and that which we want to discard, the useless information? And there's a lot of that. Can we train a brain to maintain information in a long-term memory? With the LPC brain-based method, especially when applied to our mind mapping, we can. LPC's implementation guide enables long-term memory through strategic, deliberate practice. And I've personally introduced other elements which will significantly increase the effectiveness and value of mind mapping. And I will explain that to you as we go along. Mind mapping for language. LPC uses mind maps to build language systematically in non-native English speakers as well as young learners of English. Through LPC mind maps, our students learn to use English and speak English in short sentences and phrases as opposed to traditional single words like pen. Our students are able to say, "It is a pen," using structures. From the outset, we don't teach grammar. We present language to our students in a structured, natural way. This is brain-based learning. Our students go from basic vocabulary, which they are introduced to with the E-flash. If you will remember, that was P-learn, V-learn, and PV-learn. And then they go on to forming sentences using the structures which they find in teaching and learning. These structures are taken from the LPC Teaching and Learning series. This is a series of books. I'm showing you now the starters. This is the starters series. These are the textbooks and these are the workbooks. This series of books contains 5 topics per book, which means a total of 20 topics per level. So this is the starters series. And here we have the Movers series. Okay? The structures in our mind maps, again, are taken from these books. And where do they take their structures from? The structures come from the Cambridge English Language Assessment's Young Learners English syllabus. I have a copy here. Let's look at the starters syllabus, shall we? I will be going through the syllabus in detail in a specific video on the syllabus, but right now I just want to show you the relationship of where our mind maps come from and the syllabus and how it's related to our teaching and learning series. Okay, if you have a look here, you can see this is the title. So you have 1, 2, and there are a total of 20 topics. Topic 1, topic 2, and then here we have structures. And this is where the structures come from for our mind maps. This is lexis and this is function. But we will talk about those in the actual video for syllabus. So looking at the structures, which are here, you will see I am, you are, he is. But we don't teach grammar. we use these structures in our teaching and learning books that you can see here. Topic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in book 1 and topic 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in book 2. Okay? And they will give you a complete exposure to all of the structures. Let's take a look here and you will see those structures which we found just now in the syllabus. I am Tom, I am Anne. Okay? So we use the teaching and learning, and then we come on to reinforce that structure and that learning with the mind maps. And this is a mind map from topic 1. Take a look. I, person. So this will be I am a person. You, child. You are a child. He, boy. He is a boy. So the connection is there. Again, remember, the mind map shows keywords and pictures, and then the connection between the two. There are 2 mind maps per topic. 2 pages of mind maps per topic. Okay? There are 2 mind maps per topic. And this is topic 1 and it's page 2. Remember, there are 2 mind maps per topic. Mind map page 1 and page 2. So it goes topic 1, page 1. Topic 1, page 2. In my mind map tutorials, I just call them 1A and 1B. And then we go on to 2A, 2B. This, for example, is topic 1, page 2. Again, I would call that 1B. At starters level, the mind maps are structured. Every single thing that they do is according to a specific plan. For the starters level, the 2 mind maps per topic are accompanied by a teacher's script. So they are completely structured. Okay? If you can see here, this is the mind map that we're looking at, 1B, and here is the teacher's script to enable the teacher or the parent to guide their child using correct grammar and the correct sequence. At movers level, we provide 1 structured mind map, and the student is then given appropriate guidance to create his or her own mind map in relation to each of the topics. However, what's different here is the children are then putting in elements which are personal. They will be talking, they will be creating mind maps about things which are in their environment or related to them. Things they like to do, things, descriptions of their parents, talking about their friends, what their friends like and don't like. Nonetheless, the structures are always incorporated in the mind maps. It is a looser version, but we are still focusing on ensuring that the children are reinforcing the structures learned in the teaching and learning. These mind maps are more interesting for the children because they have a personal element, and this is very useful for interpersonal and intrapersonal learners. In the process, students get to ask and answer questions, and then they collect the data to create their own mind maps. They're then invited to talk about their mind maps to one another, to their teachers, and to their parents, who are always invited to come to the classroom and listen to their children's presentations, or they might go home with their mind map and show their parents at home. The students are then invited to talk about their mind maps to other students in the classroom and to their teachers. This, of course, means they are incorporating speaking skills. These mind maps are obviously more creative and diverse than the starters' mind maps, and they are understandably more appealing to the students. So these students are then using the correct structures in the classroom and having lively discussions, which is interesting for them and involves them wholeheartedly, rather than just copying certain structures and repeating certain structures. So they are involved in the process. Our students are also comfortable then speaking in English to repeat their mind maps and describe their mind maps to one another, the teachers, and their parents. These are skills which are often painstakingly taught in schools. Now, our children are doing this naturally through the step-by-step process using teaching and learning and, of course, mind maps. Our mind maps not only benefit young children, but they benefit secondary school students as well as non-native English speaker adults who want to improve their language. Quite honestly, a number of teachers have come back to me and told me how happy they are that they are able to use the mind maps because that helps them to correct themselves. We're empowering them to teach themselves better grammar. So our mind maps are not only for young learners, they're also for secondary school students and adults who are non-native English speakers. Our teachers have also reported that this enables them to check on their own grammar and improve themselves as they go along. So the mind maps are also very popular with our teachers. Random coloring is beneficial in terms of increasing fine motor skills, and it's enjoyable. It makes the child calm and gives them a sense of enjoyment. But compare that to exercise. Random exercise will not bring about optimum results as compared to deliberate, targeted exercises, which focus on particular muscle groups, for example. Coloring deliberately, according to a set sequence, brings order, familiarity, and confidence. As you can see here in this mind map, these are strands and they visually connect words and pictures. And I firmly believe that the physical, muscular action of coloring the strand that connects one element of a mind map to the next has the effect of connecting the brain's synapses virtually. Through mind mapping, we are enabling our children to be the architects of their own minds. This is the designing philosophy of our mind maps. This is a mind map of a mind map. A starter's level mind map creates order in the mind because it is deliberate, not random. It is logically sequenced and organized, and it is specific to the particular sequence. A mind map at starter's level will order the mind because the actions are deliberate, they are not random. The mind map is logically sequenced or organized, and the information in it is specific to each new topic and, again, structure being taught. On the topic of order, the need for order is natural for children. On the subject of order, the need for order is natural for children and is acquired during the sensitive period for order, which may be present from birth to age 5, but typically peaks between the ages of 18 to 26 months. It should also be noted that order and habit has a calming effect on young children because familiarity naturally brings out a sense of security and comfort. Mind map classes should always be presented in the same order of events, the same sequence. For example, after the students have been introduced to the new structures in teaching and learning and the living language classes, The class itself should follow a structured order of presentation. For example, first you discuss the topic, and then you go through the mind map and colour it in a proper sequence, which is always the same sequence. And then you repeat the language as you go around the mind map and recite it. And then finally you come to the last stage where children are able to read the mind map themselves without the rest of the group. I've taken that one step further, so the sequence is always deliberate. Once you have gone through order 1, order 2, a mind map is always presented in a specific order. Order 2. This is the sequence for the presentation of the mind map, which typically begins at somewhere around 1 o'clock, and it moves in a clockwise direction to usually somewhere about 11 o'clock. This is consistently the same for all mind maps. Clockwise direction, 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock. It doesn't matter where the strands are. If a strand has extensions, then you must cover the extensions and then move on to the next strand, always in that clockwise direction. Order 3. I have chosen to incorporate another element to this specific sequence and order, and that is the element of colour. As you can see here, the mind map's strands are coloured different colours, but this will be the same order for every mind map you come across. For example, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, and if there are more strands, brown, grey and black. In the starters there will be no more strands than that. These also happen to be the colours which are required for the starters test, so the children will be familiar with all of the colours too. Coming back to our mind map of mind maps, a mind map creates a virtual library. It is well organized. Think about your physical environment. A well-ordered environment promotes speed, efficiency, and productivity. Likewise, a well-ordered mind is able to achieve significantly greater speed, efficiency, and productivity than one which is cluttered with random and sometimes useless information. Registration or input of information is methodical. Information is stored methodically so that retrieval of information is automatic and instant. Much like the files and folders you store in your computer, the brain is capable of holding an amazing amount of information that you don't or can't physically touch. To make it easily accessible, we tend to arrange information in our computers thematically, chronologically, or alphabetically. If your files and folders are not in chronological order or alphabetical order, it will be very difficult for you to find information later. This is true of the brain. The pictures in a mind map are clear. This avoids confusion or misunderstandings. We only show that which is required, that which is relevant to the mind maps. And our pictures are as close as possible to natural pictures. And our pictures are natural. The world is developing at a very high speed, incorporating more technology, but unfortunately, this contributes to our children being alienated from nature, that which is both natural and real, and necessary for understanding of life. The information in the mind map is always relevant to the grammatical structures and the vocabulary being taught. And the information contained in our mind maps is always factual. Young children find it difficult to differentiate between fantasy and reality, and therefore it's our duty to introduce them to concrete facts before approaching abstract. Unfortunately, many teachers and parents fail to recognize the importance of this element, believing creativity to be curbed. But there's nothing to stop creativity from blossoming once the child is equipped with a firm grasp of that which is fact before venturing into the exciting realm of fantasy. As educators, we must always strive to be attentive to these fine sensitivities and protect young children from false presumptions. Implementation. The first is directed, deliberate colouring, as mentioned previously. What you colour first, second, and third. And the choice of colour, red, yellow, orange, green, etc. And then comes my most powerful inclusion in mind mapping, and that is a very simple element which is enjoyed by children and adults alike. This is the element of closing your eyes. And then comes probably the most powerful element of all, which is introduced during the final process in mind mapping. It is extremely powerful and much enjoyed by both children and adults, yet it is deceptively simple. Close your eyes. This challenges the brain to perform better, pushing your memory to visualize the mind map in front of you. It's only introduced after the children have successfully read the mind map unaided, as many times as needed. For the first reading of the mind map with eyes closed, the children must be guided. Always insist that the children point to their mind maps as they read. This gives them a spatial awareness of the mind map, and a muscular memory will be formed of the mind map in their minds. It is imperative at every stage of the presentation that the children use their fingers, we call this the reading finger, and point as they move along the mind map. What this does is it creates a spatial awareness, and their spatial awareness of the particular mind map will have already been achieved as they have been doing this repeatedly with their eyes open. The repetition of hearing and visualizing the mind map also contributes to the retention of the mind map, the content. The combination of these elements helps children remember the mind map even when they cannot see it. The teacher can repeat this part with the children, but must always go through it with them the first time or two, or even three, if they are doing it with their eyes closed, to make sure that they are confident before they read it alone with their eyes closed. This exercise positively impacts the children, as it gives them a sense of excitement and challenge, and later a huge sense of accomplishment and achievement in being able to perform a whole mind map with their eyes closed. To reinforce this positive self-perception, I strongly recommend that parents, perhaps 2 or 3 per day, are invited into the classroom, ideally when they're picking their children up from school, and have the children read the mind maps to their parents. Do this within the first few days of learning a new mind map, whilst the information is still fresh in a child's memory. This increases a child's self-confidence and pride, and boosts the parents' pride in their child, in the teacher, and in the school. It is very strongly recommended that you have assistance when you first implement mind maps, especially for young learners who may not be familiar with the instructions you are giving, or they may not be familiar with all the colours. Students should never be given the opportunity to make mistakes. If they do, the error is yours. Remember to only introduce the mind map once all the relevant information has been covered. in teaching and learning, in living language, and obviously, of course, in the E-Flash, the vocabulary. I will now guide you through the process of mind mapping and how to conduct a mind mapping class. Before you begin, it is imperative to keep in mind that the children are very familiar with all of the vocabulary and structures necessary. They will have come across them, of course, in the teaching and learning, and the vocabulary will be here. You will see it here. You'll find it in the software, and the children must be familiar with that and have used living language before they approach the mind map. As you can see, the mind map is behind me, and we will be coming to that shortly. The mind map needs to be presented in an orderly way, as we mentioned earlier, and this is why we go in a particular sequence. Teaching and learning, followed by living language, and then, even before you begin your mind map, it's time to have a discussion with the children about that particular topic, about that particular subject, to raise their interest and get them excited about that topic. And it's very important that you prompt rather than guide the subject or guide the conversation. What I mean is, it's very disappointing when the teacher has to ask questions and the students say, yes, no. I would like to have it so that the children are prompted to tell you more information. You know, tell me about school. Oh, I like school. I don't like school. Tell me about yourself. Oh, I'm a girl. I'm a boy. Do you see? It's very important that the children give you information without you having to dig it out, or make it as little as possible. This is because children love to talk. Children can't help themselves but want to talk. So the whole idea here is to exhaust their conversation as well as to boost their interest. So at some point you're going to tell them, now no more talking. And from that point on, it is imperative that you maintain that. You as the teacher as well must make sure that you don't bring in extra conversation or discuss anything apart from that which you need to say. When you bring in external ideas or points for conversation, you're actually polluting or diluting the effectiveness of your mind mapping class. So do bear that in mind at all times. Before you begin, make very sure that your students are familiar with the names of the colors and can recognize them. If they are still too young, and it's fine to begin the mind mapping process and all of this before they are able to recognize all of the colors, if this is the case, it is important that you or an assistant are there to always observe the children and make sure that they get the right colors and follow the right sequence. This is because the policy that we have is basically to eliminate the opportunities of making mistakes. So you need to make sure that your children are familiar with the terminology pencils down. You do this in a fun way and you do it with the children. Are you ready? Children, show me your red pencils. Very good. Now look, pencils down. Very good. Well done. Again, show me your red pencil. Well done. And pencils down. Good. Well done. You can repeat this as many times as you like. It's important to make sure that all of your children are able to understand it. Then we're ready to go on with the next stage. Hand out the mind maps to each of your children. Remember, you have covered the conversation, the exciting conversation that uses the structures, and you have reminded the children or taught the children, if it's their first few times, pencils down. So the mind maps go out, and remember you or your assistant must be sure that the children don't simply begin colouring. They need to wait for your instruction. So, hand out the mind maps and say, do you all have your mind maps? Very good. Look, this is my mind map. And we're going to do our mind maps together. Remember, you must do what I do, and then when it's time for pencils down, you must put your pencil down too. And so it's very important that every teacher remembers that they do every step of the mind map with the students to be sure that they're doing the right thing. For me, I will usually use a mind map which is covered in a plastic cover like this. This way you can recycle and reuse it again and again. With a whiteboard marker, you simply use it and then you can wipe it clean with a tissue when you're done. Have your teacher's script ready so that you know exactly what you should be saying. Remember also not to pollute the conversation with anything additional. Watch the tutorial videos which I have prepared, and in each one it will be very clearly labeled for you. Topic 1, page 1, remember, is mind map 1A. Watch the tutorial video as often as you can until you feel confident enough to present the mind maps by yourself. Now let's look at our mind maps. I'm going to go through this in a step-by-step procedure, exactly as I would do in the classroom with my students. I will, however, break every now and again to give you an explanation why something is done a certain way. Okay, let's begin by asking our students to show us their reading finger. This is very important because this is what they use whenever they're going to do a piece of reading. They need to guide their eyes and follow their reading finger. So this is very important. Reading finger at all times. Don't just say point to, say show me your reading finger. Put it on name. Remember to limit your vocabulary and keep it as simple as possible so you don't confuse the children. And everything that you're telling them to do, you're doing. They can observe you and they will do the same thing. So now we have said, show me your reading finger. Put your finger on name. 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 And your children will repeat. You don't have to say name, say name. Just look at them like this. Name. Name. And they will repeat. So I say name, 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 name. Color, name any color you like. Look. N, A, M, E. Name. 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 And pencils down. Now, not all of your students or your children will have completed their coloring at the same time. It's imperative that you pay attention to the speed with which your children complete the coloring. And the moment that your first student finishes their coloring, that's when you initiate pencils down. Why? What's so important about this? Well, the moment that that first child finishes their coloring, what are they going to focus on? They're going to focus on something else. And that means they're not focusing on the mind map. So you might finish. Observe your children. Once the first child finishes, then it's time to initiate pencils down. Obviously, there will be some children who protest. But I haven't finished yet. That's okay. will finish colouring later, and then you move straight on with your next action. Be sure to remember to give the children time to complete colouring their mind maps and keep to your word. Otherwise, they'll remember and they'll remind you, but last time you didn't give me a chance. Back to the mind map. Again, you're going to move directly to the first strand, which, as we mentioned earlier, basically is at 1 o'clock. Now, move directly to the first strand, which, as you'll remember, I mentioned earlier, is typically around 1 o'clock. Point to the word and tell the children what it says. Person. They will repeat after you. Very good. Person. Very good. Show me your red pencil. With your red pencil, write person. This is where you will deliberately spell out the letters together with the children. P, E, R, S, O, N, person, and colour red. Remember, this physical action is connecting the synapses in the brain virtually, connecting person and name. Once you have done that, you see the children, the first child that finishes, pencils down. And we come to the next word. Tom. Tom. With your red pencil, write Tom. Let's do it together. T-O-M. Tom. And colour red. Very good. Pencils down. Now bring the children's focus back to the mind map like this. Look. Tom. Tom. Colour Tom any colour you like. And remember, you will do the same. As you do so, you can say the word which is at the end of that strand, in this case, Tom. 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 Look at your class. Who's finished? You finished. Now it's time for everyone. Pencils down. Now bring the children's attention back to the mind map. Look. Ben. With your red pencil, write Ben. B-E-N. Ben. And colour red. Pencils down. Ben. Ben. Colour Ben any colour you like. And you continue around the mind map until you come to dog. Now bring their attention to dog. 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 Very good. Show me your orange pencil. Very good. With your orange pencil, write dog. D-O-G. Dog. And colour orange. Pencils down. Look. Doggy. Doggy. With your orange pencil, write doggy. D-O-G-G-I. E, doggy, and color orange. Continue by asking the children to color doggy and say doggy as they do so. Color doggy any color you like. Don't be tempted to comment on a pink dog. Focus only on what you need to say and do. So they've colored it, pencils down, and now it's time to focus on their work. Each child needs to look at their mind map and focus on it. They need to use their reading finger and move around it with you, repeating the words with you. If initially your children are very young, you can say a sentence and then they repeat it. As you get more comfortable, they can say the sentences with you at the same time as you. Are you ready? Okay. Are you ready, children? Okay. Reading finger on name and person. He is a person. He is Tom. He is a person. He is Tom. Very good. He is a person. He is Tom. Very good. He is a person. He is Ben. He is a person. He is Ben. Very good. She. She is a person. She is Anne. She is a person. She is Anne. Very good. She is a person. She is Alex. Very good. And continue. It is a dog. It is doggy. It is a dog. It is doggy. It is a dog. It is doggy. Very good. Repeat this again and again and again with your children until they are able to say it with you fluently. Then challenge them. Now, can you say this mind map by yourselves? I know you can. All right, let's try. Reading finger on name and go. And you can start them off. He is a... Very good. That's very good. Well done. Let the children have a moment of euphoria, feeling good about themselves. And then you can either ask them to repeat it again by themselves, or you can go to the next level, which is my little secret ingredient I mentioned earlier, where they close their eyes. Be careful here not to tell the children to close their eyes, otherwise their hands will not be free to use the mind map. So, do it like this. Now we're going to read the mind map one more time. Show me your reading finger and close your eyes. Show the children what you're doing. Close your eyes. And see if they're closing their eyes. Peter, close your eyes. Sally, close your eyes. Very good. Close your eyes, and you're going to move your finger, and you're going to say the mind map with your eyes closed. Are you ready? I'll do it with you. Are you ready? Let's go. Name. He is a person. He is Tom. He is a person, he is Ben. She is a person, she is Anne. She is a person, she is Alex. It is a dog, it is Doggy. Wow, very good. Applaud the children, make them feel good about themselves. And read the mind map with them, with eyes closed, a few times, especially in the beginning. When you can hear that they're confident and they know which line comes next, then you come to the final challenge. And this is where reading finger on name, close your eyes, and now read the mind map by yourselves. I'm not going to read it with you. Are you ready? Close your eyes and go. Name. He is a person, he is Tom. He is a person, he is Ben. She is a person, she is Anne. She is a person, she is Alex. It is a dog, it is Doggy. Wow, well done! And now your children will be euphoric. They have done this all by themselves. And you must be very sure to give them this accolade. Don't take it from them. You did this by yourselves. Well done. Wow, you're so good. Give them a lot of praise. Make them feel special. Make sure that that level of enjoyment will help them to remember what they have done. Finally, you should remember to put these mind maps where the children can see them and use them on a regular basis. So if today is Monday and I have introduced my mind map today, I'm going to put it up in the classroom where the children can access the mind map. Not up high where they can't reach it, but down low where they can look at it and read around the mind map and, most importantly, feel their way around as they go. That muscular memory is very important. This has actually been done without the hand movement, and it is far less effective because the two memories, the visual memory together with the physical memory, work hand in hand to help the child remember so much better. So these mind maps, it's a good idea to put them on the wall, display them, again with a plastic cover on the outside, because theirs will be pencil drawn or pencil colored, and give the children access to these mind maps throughout the next week. To understand about short-term to long-term memory, here's something that you need to remember. The first step is, if today is Monday and I've introduced the mind maps today, I must repeat them again the next day. So I will repeat them on Tuesday. And then, if the children wish to touch them and go through the mind maps in their own time, that's fine. But if not, it's necessary for you to repeat it again a week later. So you introduce it, then it's the next day, and then it's after 1 week. And to keep that into a very long-term memory, repeat it again after a month. To transfer this memory from short-term to long-term, you must remember the sequence of presentations and repetitions. So if today is Monday, I have introduced the mind map on Monday. Then I need to repeat the mind map the next day. That's Tuesday. If the children wish to go through the mind maps in their own time, that's fine. But you need to repeat the mind map after 1 week. And then you're going to repeat that mind map again after a period of a month. This will retain all of this in the long-term memory. The fun thing to know, though, is that all of this vocabulary is going to be used again and again and again. And so automatically it's being stored in the brain anyhow. But this is to ensure that what they have learned goes into the long-term memory. I hope you have understood today's class on mind mapping. Don't forget to watch the tutorials, which go in turn. Topic 1, page 1, which will be 1A. And then topic 1, page 2, 1B. We have 20 topics and 2 mind maps per topic. So that's a total of 40 mind maps. To be sure that you can present this by yourselves, I have done step-by-step presentations for the first 6 mind maps, covering every single step of the mind map. And then from 7 to 10, I have given you step-by-step, part-by-part presentations. So there's a total of 40 mind maps to cover the 20 topics. For topic 1 to topic 6, I have given you every detail in the guided step-by-step mind map. That is, again, from topic 1 to topic 6, so that's 12 mind maps. And then, from topic 7 to 10, you will get the mind map broken down. So you will get the essential elements, but it will be faster. However, you must make sure to cover all the steps which have been left out. You should know them by then. And lastly, we will cover topics 11 to 20, right? Using the mind map which has been fully colored, and I will just go through each of the strands, naming them for you. And again, don't forget, that information is all available in the teacher's script. Do follow the teacher's script. That concludes the mind map overview for today. I hope you've enjoyed it and will take into account all that you have learned. Please remember to watch the tutorials, which will be on the YouTube video site of LPC, to make sure that you do everything in a step-by-step way, which is fun for you and your students. I'm Diane Jackson. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.